Gorgeous.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Weekly Hope. It's actually episode 1 of 2. We're doing 2 this week coming at you. So here's episode number 1 on a Tuesday. I'm Kirsten Hagland. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the show. Here at Weekly Hope, what we like to do is bring on experts, advocates, clinicians, people with recovery stories, authors, just people from across the spectrum of the eating disorder and mental health community to share their stories, their expertise, to talk about cutting edge topics and things that are going on, questions that are being asked in the field of recovery and eating disorders. And every week we try to bring you something new and a little bit different. This little white fluff ball on the bottom of the screen is my unofficial co-host of the show, Elsa. She's my little nugget. And she always joins us to just say hello at the beginning of the show. But that's a little bit about who we are. If you are a returning guest, friend, welcome back. As you know, I just invite anyone and everyone who's watching from all over the world, wherever you may be, that if you want to say hello, we would love that. Type your name in the comments. Let us know where you are watching from. And of course, take the opportunity to ask questions, give comments, share your story in the comments bar. And, we really love to bring you some of just world-class leaders in this field. And this opportunity to ask them questions is really, really a great one that you do not want to miss. So be brave and ask those questions throughout the show, and I will bring them up. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome our guest for today. This woman is absolutely awesome, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. Our guest is Melainie Rogers. She's the founder and executive director of Balance Eating Disorder Treatment Center in New York City. So Balance offers a variety of outpatient programs, and I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about those and the specialties of those. Melainie is a recognized expert on eating disorders and has spoken at national and international professional conferences on various topics related to research and the treatment of eating disorders. She works extensively to support the eating disorder community. That is something else we're going to talk quite a lot about today, and specializes in the treatment of binge eating disorders. She's appeared on TV and radio, including The Today Show, Early Show, MSNBC, and many, many others. Welcome, Melainie from New York. Hey there.
It's so great to be here. Thanks so much for the invitation.
Absolutely. And, I have had the joy of being with you at many different events, and you are just such a bundle of energy and fresh air and joy. And I'm truly saying that. It's so cool because eating disorders are a very serious topic, obviously, and treatment is serious, recovery is serious, but you always are the life of the party, and I love it. Yeah, and I told people when I posted on our social media earlier today and let them know a little bit about you and the show today, I said a little fun fact: you're going to absolutely love her accent. So for those who don't recognize it, why don't you tell us where you are originally hailing from?
I am originally hailing from Australia, and I've been here in New York for about 20 years. But the accent hasn't lessened, apparently, people tell me. I'm practicing my American, like New York and Payol and stuff like that.
Very, very good. Lovely. I did. Although I will say, I think your Australian accent is way, way cooler. So I think you should always keep it. But anyway, so I've been to Balance. I've been to the center there in New York, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And why don't you tell us a little bit first, before we dive into our topic, what you guys do at Balance, why you founded it, because it was really cutting edge, at the time when you founded it, and you serve people in such a beautiful, wonderful way. So why don't you tell people a little bit about Balance?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So I started Balance 10 years ago here in New York City. And believe it or not, at that time, it's New York City, but there was only one other outpatient treatment center here in the city. And so I'd been in the field for about 7 years already, and we just needed, more services. So out of desperation, really, I decided to start Balance as an outpatient treatment center to offer more services. And here we are 10 years later, and we have a couple of other treatment centers now in the city, but it's still fairly under-resourced. And I always ask the question, if this is New York City and we're under-resourced, imagine all the other places out in the States that are smaller towns or smaller cities. They must be grappling with the same challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk a little bit about the treatment offered at Balance. I know you guys have outpatient and day programs, and for people at various parts of the recovery process.
Absolutely, yep. So for our clients who come in who are really struggling, we offer a full-time day program. So that would be where someone comes in Monday through Friday, and they're with us pretty much all day. And they have breakfast, snack, lunch with us in various groups, therapy groups. So that's our most intensive care. And in that program, clients then go home in the evenings, they go home for the weekend. So that's the distinguishing factor between what we call a day program and a residential. A residential would be where someone would come into a facility and they would sleep there as well as do their programming there. So we're outpatient, that's our most intensive. And then a step down from there, we have a 3-night-a-week evening program with an optional Saturday extension for people who are maybe going back to school, going back to work, and they're going to try and work during the day and then come in for treatment in the evenings, which is a lot to handle. And then we have step down for there. From there, we have 1 night a week, different groups, body image, emotional eaters. We have a men's group, those sorts of once a week groups that help support a client when that is enough support. So it could be a client who started with us from the day program and work their way down through those services, or maybe someone who's in one-on-one therapy and they're starting to really struggle and they need a little bit of extra support. And so we try to we have clients joining us from either side of the spectrum.
Gotcha. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Just wanted to make sure that people got a sense of what you guys do in your philosophy and what it's like there. And it also is just a really beautiful haven in the middle of this crazy, loud, stressful, anxiety-producing city. So if you live in New York City, definitely check it out. I'll put the website up here at the end of the show, so you can go take a visit and talk to Melainie and meet the rest of the team. Right. Okay. So I wanted to have you on to talk about this really, really great thing. One of the things that you do at Balance, well, first of all, you guys do social media really, really well. Just want to say and compliment you guys on that. But you kind of took up earlier this year, you guys took on Weight Watchers in a big way. And you and your team were very, very successful at mobilizing professionals, advocates, family sufferers and survivors of eating disorders against Weight Watchers in a very productive way. And it was in response to a very dangerous new program that Weight Watchers announced that they were going to be rolling out this past summer, maybe next summer. But I won't give away too much of the details, but why don't you tell us a little bit about what that big scandal with Weight Watchers was and why you guys decided to really start this huge effort?
Absolutely. Well, it was a little bit horrifying because it came out in two ways. First and foremost, Weight Watchers announced at the beginning of this year that, to kind of help the health of Americans, they were going to offer a free summer program for teens at Weight Watchers. So on the surface, it seemed very like, wow, that's really great that Weight Watchers is, getting on board with this, obesity epidemic, etc., that we hear so much about. In the financial papers at the same time, Weight Watchers was announcing their new revenue goal to hit $2 billion in revenue by 2020. That campaign to bring teens in and their revenue goal are both connected. So what we know and what we were horrified about is that it felt to me like people going around and giving kids cigarettes. In other words, get them addicted to your brand and your product and you'll have a repeat clientele. So in essence, if you think about dieting, if the Weight Watchers or any kind of diet plan truly worked, someone would come in, use your product or service, lose the weight that they supposedly need to lose, and then they'll be done. And they're happy for the rest of their lives at that weight. But we know that that doesn't happen. We know for all of those reasons that there's yo-yo dieting, etc. And so someone who starts off on a diet, statistically, there's a higher risk that they'll go back and spend a lifetime of going through many, many diets and worsening their health through that process, gaining more weight through that process. And for those that are genetically vulnerable, developing a full-blown eating disorder. So knowing the science behind, you know, a seemingly innocent diet program, we got a bit upset. And I think
naturally,
appropriately so. And I think that there's a lot of people out there who don't know the science of how dangerous and risky this campaign actually is. And it has the guise of being, you know, a benefit for, you know, American society. So we took it to task and we tried to really just get information out there about what a bad idea this was and how I felt predatorial it was. And we couldn't believe it, but, you know, our community got behind us. And the strength of that outcry, at one point we were in trending #4 on social media, and we actually got Weight Watchers to hear, and they actually set up a meeting with the leader of NIDA as a consequence of that outcrying in the first day. Actually, it was pretty amazing. I didn't expect that as a consequence. We were just trying to bring public awareness, but that was pretty awesome. And I'm really happy to report, you know, I've been watching the stock market and I've been watching all sorts of things to see if there was any impact on their stock prices. I like to kind of think globally about what these companies are doing when they're putting out these services. You know, it's not so one-dimensional. There's usually a profit margin behind it. But what's of interest is that for now they have delayed the release of that campaign, and the FDA here in the States is actually doing I wouldn't say investigation, but the FDA is now involved in kind of checking out whether or not this actually has some health implications, etc. So again, I never expected that. It was just like, hey guys, the world needs to know that this is not a good idea and this is why. And the outcomes we're pretty amazed with.
Yeah, it really was incredible. I'm hearing an echo. Are you hearing an echo?
I'm okay on my side.
Okay. Well, I'm hearing an echo, guys. So if you are watching and you are hearing an echo, please let me know so I can fix the audio. But and also, guys, I see some more people coming on, signing on and watching. So if you're popping in, say hello, tell us your name, let us know where you're signing in from. Always want to make sure that I let people know that. So yeah, it was truly evidence that social media awareness campaigns like that work when you get masses of people involved. It was a really simple hashtag, WakeUpWeightWatchers. I know that people were also mentioning at Oprah Winfrey because she had recently, I think she had bought shares in the company, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. At the time had 10% shares in the company, which she'd purchased a year or so ago. Very upset about that, given that, you know, her high profile and kind of wanting her, this is our agenda, but hoping that she would embrace this idea of, you know, my body shape and size is my body shape and size. But we know because Oprah's verbalized a lot, being very transparent about her own struggle with her body image and weight and such. But nonetheless, what was interesting is after that campaign, she did sell some of those stocks. Again, I have no information whatsoever about if these are related, but it was just interesting to watch what was going on.
Really fascinating. So talk to me a little bit more then too about the meeting and the response from Weight Watchers. Did you talk to anyone at Weight Watchers specifically, or if you talked to Claire, which was it Claire Misco who went to the meeting? Yeah, yes. So Claire is just to let people know, Claire Misco is the CEO of the National Eating Disorders Association, and she was actually on this program last month. So if you're interested in going on to hear more from Claire, she's also a rock star. You can go back to our previous videos on our YouTube channel. But can you give us a little insight into that meeting?
Absolutely. Well, we reached out to Claire and she reached out to us to say, hey, this is amazing. And Weight Watchers has reached out to me, Claire, and I'm going to go and have a meeting with them. So I followed up with her very closely, to just give her any information that she may need about the campaign, to support her for that meeting with Weight Watchers. And I think what I share is also public information with what she then shared after that meeting with Weight Watchers. But it became very obvious to Claire in that meeting that Weight Watchers thought that they had a handle on the eating disorder aspect of things, but maybe didn't really fully understand as much as they needed to, and how risky this actually was. And also, you know, they're the voice for a company that wants to ultimately develop a loyal following from the next generation of dieters. I mean, that is their service. And there's big money there. So she found it to be somewhat helpful, and they did agree to continue communications. Now, I haven't had an update from Claire as far as if that's continued to go ahead, but it was pretty exciting to hear that they at least had some FaceTime. She was able to present some research and data to them to increase their awareness.
That's amazing. And it was specifically targeted, like saying, was it free? The product that they were saying we're rolling this out, and it wasn't just the typical Weight Watchers. It was specifically to teenage girls, like under 18, right? Starting at 12 years old or something?
That's right. That was what was so concerning. 13 to 17 was the age group, and a free, you know, Weight Watchers summer campaign. So they were a little, at the time, they hadn't had all their information sorted out as far as specifics, if they were offering a 6-week program or what it was going to be. But it was definitely going to be something for teens over the summer, so while school is out, and you can kind of lose those pounds before you go back to school.
So, you know, I want to take advantage of the fact that you are also have done years and years of research and work from the clinical and nutrition side of things. And so I would love for you to take us into the science a little bit, because I think this is fascinating. What negative impact does and paradoxical impact does dieting have on the body, the metabolism? I mean, I know this is extraordinarily complex, and that's why people get degrees in it. But I mean, I think probably one of the things that was so impactful to me in my recovery journey from a psychological perspective was the fact that the life that I really wanted, the things that I really wanted, that I thought my eating disorder would give me, actually my eating disorder was in the way of them to begin with. Right. So it wasn't actually helping me. It was the exact opposite of what I needed. I feel like dieting is similar in that way, that if you want to get healthy, and health should be the goal, if you want to be healthy and to find your body's natural set weight and the place where everything in body, mind, and spirit is functioning correctly, actually diet inhibits that, doesn't help it. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's really, as you said, paradoxical, because, you know, it's very difficult because we're sold this whole public health campaign about be careful not to weigh too much. And it's really kind of the pendulum has swung to this point of, well, what is too much? And also it's eroded the idea of what is just a natural healthy weight, and that's okay, even if on these convoluted BMI charts, height and weight charts that we use now, that someone may fall into the so-called overweight category. And we're learning more and more that those categories may not actually be as accurate as far as depicting that if you're of a higher weight, there is a consequence to health. So this is where it gets really, really complicated. So the question being, why don't we want people to go on diets in the first place? Why is it so risky to the body, honestly? Is because we know that the minute you put anybody of any size or shape on a diet, that person goes into a period of malnutrition or restriction. And what happens then is pretty complex, but very simply, the brain says, oh my God, we're going into starvation mode, thinking that we're now in a famine. Okay, so this is old brain processing, you know, imagining we're still cave people running around with not enough access to food. And so then the body goes through a whole system of different mechanisms to shut parts of the body's operation down. And part of that is also how your brain thinks. So everything is affected. And what we also know is that the body is very smart and wants to survive. So physiologically, there's a whole response on behalf of the body to say, no, we don't want to lose weight. We want to keep the weight we were, because that means we'll be healthy. and strong, and we won't die of starvation. So the body and the mind puts on this revolt against dieting, against deliberately not eating enough food, and pushes us to seek out more food and consume that food as a way of survival, right? So that's a basic kind of diet mechanism, and the fact that your body will work against you as you may deliberately try to go through that process. So then the psychological consequence of that for anyone who's tried to diet for a day or two or a week or two is, oh my goodness, I don't have enough willpower, I'm so weak, I need to try harder, I need to be more disciplined. Not realizing that your body is actually trying to prevent you from going down this road of dieting. So that's just the basic stuff that happens. But then if you do succeed in overriding that and you lose weight over time, it's a massive trauma to the body, actually. And then we know there are various mechanisms that then get shut down and manipulated, and it makes it easier for us to then regain the weight that we just lost and end up at a higher weight than we started from. And that is the dilemma, because if we're saying that weight gain over time can have health consequences for some people, then dieting will directly lead to weight regain over time. And we see that with our clients who come in who've been on diet after diet after diet. They started off at this weight, and now they're 100 pounds more than they were when they went on their first diet. And now they've got all these health consequences, possibly as a result of gaining weight over time through these different diets. So dieting is exactly what we don't want to do, and we want to shift the conversation to more healthy, balanced eating, healthy activity, acceptance of your body size and shape where it is, trying to optimize your health where you're at. And you've heard of the health at every size movement and other ways of us trying to embrace the idea of we don't have to be this thin ideal to be uber healthy. In fact, it might be the opposite.
Yeah. Thank you so much for breaking that down for us. I love the way you were able to do that in a way that someone without, as you have, is able to understand. Just want to bring up here, Leah says, hi, Melainie and Kirsten. So excited to be interning with Balance at this project. Cool. Thank you, Leah, so much. And thank you for your help with that so much. And I see some new people coming on. Say hello, pop into the comments and say hello to Melainie and I, and let us know where you're from, and feel free to ask questions. We were just talking a little bit about the nutrition science behind diets. I'd like to segue a little bit to the psychological aspect. You know, what you guys do at Balance and what all eating disorder treatment should encompass is obviously a treatment team of people working together, people who can deal with the physical side effects of an eating disorder, obviously the nutrition aspect, and getting, someone's diet lifestyle, not diet as in restriction, but their diet in a way that's balanced, and then the psychological impact. Obviously, we know that marketing and advertising is all psychological and emotional, and that, as you so eloquently described at the beginning, that so much of Weight Watchers, what they try to do is basically make money off of women feeling bad about their bodies. Well, men and women, both feeling bad about their bodies. Why do we keep, as a culture, and there are many people who have used Weight Watchers and other diet programs who don't have eating disorders per se.
Right.
So why do we keep falling into this myth that there is going to be the one diet and they're going to do it and they're going to finally lose all the weight and feel happy, and then all of life is going to be different and better? Like, why do we keep letting companies make money off our insecurities?
Yeah, it's amazing. I wish I could answer that, because we see it in, beauty care products and, the makeup industry and all the anti-wrinkle cream, that whole industry as well. It is fascinating. I think because there's this underlying psychological element to all of them, and you hit it on the head, which is make your consumer feel they're inadequate, and then provide the service or product that will be the answer to that. And you have, you have a great service that will be very profitable. And it's so, it's the antithesis of what you and I do as far as trying to help people see their true value as a person and to embrace that and to know that innately. And it's not about how you look or what you look like, etc. But unfortunately, I guess because we're a society that is very based upon the visual presentation, you know, of what we see and how we see others. And, you know, the whole idea of, I think it's predatory marketing. You know, there's no one else out, there's no one going out there and saying, you know, oh, you have the most beautiful skin and I have this great skin product, but you don't need it because your skin is so beautiful. I mean, the first
of course.
The first makeup makeover I ever went to, I couldn't believe it, and I was traumatized. And I must have been in my 20s, so my skin was reasonably okay. I'm aging myself. And I went in, and the makeup artist gave me all these things that were wrong with my skin and gave me 15 products that I needed to make it all better. And I just looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I thought it was reasonably okay. I was so traumatized. And that's the power of that horrible way of making people feel, you know?
Yeah. You know what? I actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I want to tell this very short story, and then I want to get to Susan and Cynthia in the comments there. Similar but opposite situation. And I'd actually love to ask you if it's different in different countries from your international experience, because I went and got a facial here in Germany about a month ago. And I have, unlike you with great skin in your 20s that you didn't need anything, I have always had horrible skin. And it's just my, you know, it's genetic. It is what it is. You know, some things work, some things don't. Some times of the month it's great. Other times it's horrible. And you just deal. It's just one of those things I've come to accept about myself and my body. But I went to get a facial, and usually after any spa treatment you go to, usually, right, they try to sell you all the products afterward.
Right. And
I was certain that I was going to, you know, do you need the, oh, well, this is the mask we use, and this is the facial treatment, and this is the evening essence, and this is the anti-wrinkle eye cream, and this is, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I just completely expected it. And she asked me my skin regimen afterward, and I told her, and then she's like, why are you doing all that? How old are you? And at that point I was 29. Yeah. And I told her about, you know, I do an under eye cream, and she's like, why? Anti-aging? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess it's under eye. It's like soft, sensitive skin, right? And she's like, you don't need to do that. She's like, yeah. And she's Greek, actually. And one of the reasons that she became a cosmetician, I guess, or an esthetician, was because there were all these women at, you know, she back in Greece that had this gorgeous, beautiful skin, and, you know, little to no acne and wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. And all they did was just put seawater on their face. That was it. You know, and she wanted to help people discover like a more natural way of taking care of your skin. And it was just the most mind-blowing.
Right. Refreshing.
You know?
Refreshing, right?
Yeah. So, but quick question before I get to Susan. Abroad, I know Australia a couple years ago passed a piece of legislation where certain beauty ads have to say this is not real, or this image has been doctored, or things. Right. Do you think it's unique to American culture? I mean, obviously it's not 100% unique, but do you think it's different across the world?
Yeah, I think in some places there's, you know, America tends to do it pretty well, or with great intensity. But there's a great documentary that came out, I think it was last year or the year before, that was looking at the way that markets throughout the world deal with the marketing of beauty, and it's pretty global. You know, it's pretty global. Yeah. I lived in Japan for about 8 years before I came here to New York, and the emphasis there on creams for women that bleach your skin and give you a whiter complexion were just... It was amazing, you know, and it's universal, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. Kind of depressing, but at the same time, we're all in this together, and we all fight this fight together, which is awesome. Susan has a question that I would love to get your insight on. She says, I find what has been hardest for my daughter is accepting the weight that the treatment team feels is healthiest for her, because she isn't comfortable with the healthy weight. I fear that's why she keeps relapsing. Can you talk a little bit about what that might be like, and maybe some advice for Susan to help her daughter or encourage her?
Absolutely. Yeah, Susan, we see this a lot, and it's really difficult. My assumption from your from your comment there is that maybe the treatment team want her weight to be a little bit higher than she feels comfortable with. That's my interpretation of your numbers there, or your statement. And we see that a lot, honestly, because for a lot of our clients, their focus is that if I'm thinner, I'm prettier, I'm more lovable. And so we're asking them to do the complete opposite of that by going through weight restoration. And it sounds like that was the case here. And then the client is back at, as a treatment team, what we're looking at is at what weight does the body optimally work. And so that means that the brain is back online, menstrual cycle is back online as one indicator, your sweat system, etc., and you're able to maintain that weight with any great effort. So that's what we're looking for medically. And what we know, though, this is the hard part. It takes the brain a little bit of time to catch up with that medical restoration, if you will. So the thinking that your daughter has right now is probably still affected by the eating disorder and also the culture around her. So it takes a little bit more time for the neuroplasticity to get to a place where it's like, okay, this is the weight I need to be at because this is the healthiest weight for me, for my body to be at, without risk of further weight gain above and beyond what would be healthy for me, or also further weight loss. But then you've got the cultural stuff around her that are saying, well, in order to be the sexiest, you need to lose the weight. It's a very, very difficult place to be, and getting the brain back online and time can make that a little bit easier, and a lot of acceptance therapy around that. It also is very helpful if families on board with health at every size, accepting our bodies for what they are, our genetics, just genetically what our bodies are supposed to be at. That can be very helpful as well. So just want to validate what you're going through, and also know that, many people have walked that, that have come up against that challenge as well. Apologies for any background noise here. We've got a thunderstorm here in New York City, and a skylight, so you're hearing the rain directly on the skylight.
Yeah, no, all good. It's actually very soothing. I want to just mention Cynthia's comment, and then I've got one last thing that I want to talk with you about, Melainie. So Cynthia here just says, social media is responsible today for an even greater demise of women's perceptions, posting only beautiful pictures of themselves. My daughter had a difficult time accepting the fact that her life and looks were not picture perfect. Oh yeah. We all just post the highlight reels, right? Well, I try not to. Yeah. But I think we should all try not to. It took a lot of therapy to get her to believe that social media is a means to brag. It definitely can be. Now she posts pictures of her ugliest self. She has a series of photos of her sneezing. I love that. So learning to laugh was a long, long process. As a mom, I wish social media didn't exist. Cynthia, thank you for your heart. And there are times that I absolutely agree with you, that I also wish that. At the same time, look what we're able to do here with this show. And also look what Melainie's been able to do with Wake Up Weight Watchers, which I think is a huge testament to what social media can do, but it also can be very painful. So it's this real Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of thing. Oh, did we lose Melainie? Did we lose Melainie? Uh-oh. Melainie? Hold on one second, guys. If you're still there, I think Melainie froze, but hold on one moment. Hey guys, so I'm not sure what happened with Melainie. It seems like maybe the thunderstorm broke the connection. So I'm gonna sign out here. We were having this really, really great conversation about Wake Up Weight Watchers, and we were just gonna get here. I'm gonna just be here. we were just going to get Melainie's take on the update on the Weight Watchers campaign and where it's going next, because they're putting together this really, really incredible ebook of articles and videos and lots of different cool resources to share with parents and with loved ones and clinicians, so that there can be a resource to combat potentially the program that Weight Watchers is going to be rolling out for these teenagers, these extremely vulnerable young men and women. So that's the direction it's going. You can actually go onto the Balance website. I'm going to put that up on the screen here. You guys can see the website and find out more about Balance and about the campaign. Here, just one second. I'll pop this up on the screen right now. There we go. And I will also put it here in the comments section so that you guys have access to Melainie. I hope that you enjoyed her. She is so, so awesome. And I'm super bummed that, that it froze up on her end. But we will definitely get her back. Please check out the hashtag WakeUpWeightWatchers campaign. We're going to be posting about it, and you can go to the website and find out more information about how you can submit perhaps an article, a story, a video, something to contribute to this. It's going to be a really, really amazing effort, and we're so excited just to see the way that social media and all of you have mobilized to create change and really impact an international, global corporation on this scale. I think it shows that, people raising their voices really does work. So, all right, with that, guys, thank you so much. Sorry for the little technical mishap, but we hope you enjoyed Melainie, and be sure to check out Wake Up Weight Watchers and Balance. Okay, Elsa and I are signing off here. We say Tschüss from Deutschland und Guten Abend, Guten Tag for all of you in the United States. Guten Abend here in Europe, and if you liked Guten Morgen in Australian. Now I'm speaking other languages. All right. You all have a beautiful, blessed evening, and I will see you tomorrow. We've got another episode of Weekly Hope at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Ciao.